Hi everyone, here I am back with video number 20 in the series I've been doing of less popular alternatives to the top 100 boy names in the US for the year 2014. I cannot even believe I've made it through these videos. This time I'm going to be talking about names 5 through 1, the top 5 boy names in the US. Just a reminder, I have put all of these videos into a playlist and I will link that playlist in the description box below. And let's just go ahead and get started with these names. At number 5 in the US for the year 2014 was the name William. William is the English form of a German name that means desired protection. This is a name I see often as a middle name and one that I often see people going by nicknames for. For instance, people my parents' age are usually Bill, and little kids usually are Will today or Liam. I do see Billy and Willie a lot as well. I actually have a little cousin named William and he has brothers named Henry and Jack. I think those names all go really well together. And William has been popular for a long time. There are just way too many associations with this name. However, I do think of Will Turner from the Pirates of the Caribbean. I also think of William Shakespeare, and I think of Prince William, and of William just being a royal name in general. Name has always been the top 20 names in the US. You're almost guaranteed to know multiple people named William if you live in the US. My first William alternative I have is FITZWILLIAM. This is an English name that means son of William. I absolutely adore this name and I strongly associate it with FITZWILLIAM Darcy, who is one of the main characters from the book Pride and Prejudice. I used to want to be an author, and a small part of me still desires to do that, but I just don't have time and I'm not very good at it. And once upon a time, when I was probably 15 or 16, I started a story where one of the main characters was named FITZWILLIAM with the nickname Billy. The character Nate from the show and book Gossip Girls is named Nathaniel FITZWILLIAM Archibald, and there is a FITZWILLIAM College in Cambridge, England. Otherwise, it is not a common name at all, and I would absolutely love to see this name used more. What's cool about this is that it can still have all the same nickname options as William, but also can have Fitz or Fritz as a nickname as well. I think that someone who likes William might like FITZWILLIAM because it has all the same nickname options like I mentioned, and it can honor a William. My next William alternative I have is Willem. Willem is the Dutch form of William, which again means desired protection. This name can also be spelled WILLHELM, and that particular spelling can also be pronounced Willem. Of course, think of the actor Willem Dafoe with this name, which is of course a very cool association. Otherwise, it is extremely uncommon in the US, and I think that someone who likes William might like Willem because it has the same meaning and origin, a very similar sound, and then could honor a William as well. And my last William alternative I have is Willis. Willis is an English name that means belonging to William. I associate this with actor Bruce Willis and his family. I was also an actor from the 60s whose name was Willis Boucher, and Willis Jackson was one of the characters from the show Diff'rent Strokes. I definitely think what you're talking about, Willis, when I think of the name Willis. I think this name is super adorable and totally unexpected. It was in the top 1,000 boy names up through the year 1993, but has not been since then, and I think that someone who likes William might like Willis because they have the same nickname options with Will and Willie, and it could honor a William as well. And number 4 in the year 2014 was the name Jacob. Jacob is the English form of Yaakov, which means supplanter. This is of course a biblical name. In the Bible, he was the son of Israel and Rebekah, and he had 12 sons and a daughter. I also associate this name with the Twilight book series. Once upon a time, I would see everybody wearing either Team Edward or Team Jacob pins, people who were fans of that book series or movies. This name was actually the #1 name in the US from the years 1999 through 2012. It has been in the top 100 boy names since 1974 and has always been within the top 400 names in the US. My first Jacob alternative I have is Job. Job is a Hebrew name meaning persecuted. However, the biblical Job is a wonderful association. He was someone that God knew could be so faithful and trustworthy that he allowed Satan to put him through all these trials, and he still prevailed and was faithful to God, and in the end God rewarded him with more than he had ever had before he went through those trials. My mom actually went to school with someone named Job, and he went by Joby as a nickname, which I find very sweet. And I think that someone likes Jacob might like Job since they're both Old Testament biblical names. They both start with J and end in OB. My next Jacob alternative I have is Jacoby or Jacoby. This is an English surname form of Jacob, which again means supplanter. There's a Yankees baseball player named Jacoby or Jacoby Ellsbury. There is a Raiders football player named Jacoby or Jacoby Ford. And there is a Steelers football player named Jacoby or Jacoby Jones. Also, the lead singer from Papa Roach is named Jacoby Shaddix. This name is currently ranked at 593 in the year 2014 and first entered the top 1,000 boy names in 1983. And I think that someone who likes Jacob might like Jacoby or Jacoby because they have the same meaning in origin. They're only one letter apart in their spelling, and this can obviously honor a Jacob as well. And my last Jacob alternative I have is Giacomo. This is my favorite. This is the Italian form of Jacob, meaning supplanter. There is an actor named Giacomo Giannotti from the show Grey's Anatomy, and an actor named Giacomo Mancini, who was just in the movie Pan, about Peter Pan. The opera composer Puccini also was named Giacomo, and his name is really interesting. I've got to read this to you. His name was Giacomo Antonio Domenico Michele Secondo Maria Puccini. I think this name is so cool and would be really unexpected and wonderful on a child in the US in the year 2015. And I think that someone likes Jacob might like Giacomo because they have the same meaning in origin, and of course it can honor a Jacob as well. At number 3 in the year 2014 was the name Mason. Mason is an English name that means a builder or bricklayer, someone who works with bricks or tiles usually. There is a child actor named Mason Cook. I also associate this with mason jars, which are kind of trendy right now. And I think this name maybe might have become so popular because Jason used to be more popular. Jason is still within the top 100 boy names, but obviously nowhere near as popular as Mason right now. I've known tons and tons of Masons. Unfortunately, because of that, I have met several that weren't such great associations. This has been in the top 100 boy names since the year 1997 and has always been in the top 1,000 boy names in the US. My first Mason alternative I have is Maison. This is a French name meaning house. This is also be used as just an alternative spelling of Mason. Of course, I would prefer the original French pronunciation with this name personally. This is actually in the top 1,000 boy names at number 800 in the year 2014 and has been in the top 1,000 boy names for the last 3 years. And I think that someone who likes Mason might like Maison for that similar look and sound. My next Mason alternative I have is Thomason. This is an English name that means son of Thomas. Of course, it's more common as a last name than a first name. There is an actress named Marsha Thomason from the show White Collar, and I think Thomason would make a really unexpected Mason alternative because they could go by Mason as a nickname since it does end in M-A-S-O-N. And once again, I think someone who likes Mason might like Thomas because they're both surnames and they could both go by Mason. And my last Mason alternative I have is Marsden. This is an English name that means swamp valley, and I have to give Megan, who is Tulip by Any Name on YouTube, the credit for this because I was having trouble coming up with alternatives for Mason. And she suggested it, and I think it's wonderful. I associate this name with actor James Marsden and also Jason Marsden. He was an actor from the show Boy Meets World. This name is extremely uncommon, but I think it would make a great Mason alternative because they're both 2 syllables, they're both surname names, and they both start with M and end in N. At number 2 in the year 2014 was the name Liam. Liam is an Irish diminutive of William, meaning desired protection. I absolutely adore this name. I think it's gorgeous, and I totally get why it's so popular. I really associate this with Liam Neeson. I do think he's part of the reason why this name is so popular. There are actually lots of actors and famous people with this name right now. Liam Aiken was where I first saw this name. He played Klaus in the movie A Series of Unfortunate Events. There is actor Liam Hemsworth who plays Gale in the Hunger Games movies, and then of course Liam Payne is one of the members from the band One Direction. This has been in the top 100 boy names since the year 1996 and has been in the top 1,000 boy names since 1967. Once again, I adore this because it's so popular. I would definitely suggest it as a middle name, but once again, I love that it's so popular. My first Liam alternative I have is Callum. Callum is an Irish name meaning dove. I first saw this on actor Callum Worthy, and there are a few other actors with this name as well. Callum Keith Rennie, Callum Blue, and Callum Turner. I also associate this with other name tuber Reedy, who has a son named Callum Donovan. This name was ranked at 729 in the year 2014 and is rising in popularity and first entered into the top 1,000 boy names in the year 2008. I think that someone who likes Liam might like Callum since they're both Irish names and are both 2-syllable and ending in M. My next Liam alternative I have is LYALL. LYALL is a Scottish name that means wolf. The name can also be pronounced LYALL, however the original Scottish pronunciation is LYALL. There is a Mount LYALL or Mount Lyell in Canada, and LYALL Brooks is the name of an Australian actor. Otherwise, it is very uncommon, but I would love to see this name used more often. And I think someone who likes Liam might like LYALL because they have that very similar sound. My last Liam alternative I have is Leland. Leland is an English name that means meadowland. I really, really love that meaning. Leland has special meaning for me because I actually grew up in a town called Leland. There's an actor named Leland Orson, and I first saw someone with the name Leland a long time ago. They had this reality show where they were searching for people to play the new version of the Partridge Family, and it's sad because I think the reality show was more popular than the actual Partridge show ended up being. But actress Emma Stone, who was first found from that show, she was the one who won the part of Lori Partridge. And one of the people who was on the reality show was named Leland Grant, and he's totally how I picture a Leland. His name was ranked at 410 in the year 2014 and has always been in the top 1,000 boy names except for the years 1998 through 2005. And I think that someone who likes Liam might like Leland because they do have a very similar sound. And my last name for this series at all, number 1 in the year 2014, was the name Noah. Noah is a Hebrew name meaning comfort. I really love that meaning. This is, of course, a biblical name, and I think that is a huge draw for people because I think a lot of people think, oh, that's cute. I can buy him little Noah's Ark stuff for his bedroom. And I have known tons of Noahs, and that's okay because it is a wonderful name. This is another name where I totally get why it's so popular. I have met female Noahs as well, and there is a female Noah in the Bible. There's an actor named Noah Weil from the show ER, and the actor Noah Gray Cavey is from the show Heroes. He played Micah from that show. A huge part of what helped this name become so popular is because of the movie The Notebook. The main protagonist in that movie is called Noah. This has been in the top 100 boy names since the year 1995 and has always been in the top 1,000 boy names in the US. Just like Liam, I do think this name is probably better for a middle name because it's so popular, but again, I love that it's so popular. My first Noah alternative I have is NOAM. This is a Hebrew name that means beautiful. Wonderful meaning, of course. I think most people associate this name with scientist Noam Chomsky. There is also an actor named Noam Jenkins and a Grammy-nominated banjoist named Noam Pikelny. Very cool associations. I think this name is wonderful and would make a great Noah alternative because they're only one that are apart and are both Hebrew names. My next Noah alternative I have is Joah or Yoah. It's a Hebrew name meaning brother of God. There are a few different Joahs in the Old Testament, mainly mentioned in genealogies of people. Otherwise, it is an extremely uncommon name, but I think it's very cool and super accessible, and I think someone who likes Noah might like Joah or Yoah because they're only one letter apart in their spelling and pronunciation, and they are both Old Testament biblical names. And my last Noah alternative I have is NERIAH. NERIAH is a Hebrew name that means lamp of God. I really love that meaning. NERIAH is the name of someone briefly mentioned in the book of Isaiah in the Old Testament in the Bible. It's actually more popular for girls right now, but it definitely traditionally is a male name, and I would really, really love to meet a little boy named NERIAH. It is a wonderful name and a great Noah alternative, also a good Josiah alternative as well. I think that someone who likes Noah might like NERIAH because they're both Old Testament biblical Hebrew names and they both start with N and end in AH. That is my last name for this series. I can't believe I'm done with it. Thank you so much for everybody who's watched all these videos. And please let me know what your favorites were of the alternatives I listed and any others I didn't mention that you love for these names. And thank you so much for watching. Bye!